So, what do you do when not only do you have this opportunity where you and your kid have a knockdown drag out and you're in a place of trying to repair that, but it also kicks up an autoimmune flare. If you've ever been in that spot before, or you want to walk with me as I'm exploring how my daughter and I navigated that, I'm here for it. So, welcome back, and thank you. If you've been on this journey with me, you already know that yesterday for me and for my daughter was just a really, really rough day. We're both neurospicy folks, and I'll have the link for the previous two videos in the description box below. So please check that out just so you can watch everything in order. And I appreciate you being back with me. So yesterday I did all the pieces, as I mentioned before, just in terms of being able to connect with my daughter, being able to help her regulate. This morning, the work is not done. I couldn't just go navigate this morning like nothing ever happened. And guess what? My kid didn't navigate this morning like nothing ever happened. She was moody. She was short with folks in the house. She couldn't understand why nobody was understanding her. And it definitely wasn't as rough as yesterday, but this speaks to why you can't just ignore what happened. We have to go back as parents to be able to navigate what is the correction that the child needs to do in their behavior, and sometimes how we need to approach things differently. Because as parents, we don't always get things right either, right? Okay. I know I don't. I know I don't. So, and I know my parents didn't either. So, but we need to go back and to address like, okay, how are we going to try to work on this so that this doesn't happen again, or that we're reducing the chances that it happens or reducing the intensity. So my daughter and I needed to have that conversation. At the same point in time, I woke up this morning exhausted because yesterday's events did cause an autoimmune flare with me this morning. And so we were supposed to go play pickleball, which we normally do. And I just didn't have a whole lot of energy. So I'm doing everything that I can to start to take my supplements, because I know when I go in and have this conversation with my child, I cannot be activated emotionally, but my body is also just out of its window of tolerance. My body's not having it. So it was not a very fun spot to be in, but as the parent, that's my job. That is my responsibility, to find a way to be regulated enough, not to the best, not to the max, but to be regulated enough so that I can show up for my child. So I really just took some time to make sure that I took care of myself this morning, found some food for me to eat, took my supplements like I normally would, went on ahead and drank some water. And there's something that I actually learned a long time ago in the foster care system. And so I give 100% complete credit to that. I learned about something called junk behavior. And so what junk behavior is little things that kids do to push away grown-ups. And so if you know anything about attachment, when we start taking a look at attachment, this is the attachment that is causing some distance, that is trying to push away whatever is there, whatever the threat is. So my daughter was pushing away everybody in the house and wanting to connect with family members who are not here in the home, which I get it. I mean, that makes sense to me. So she started engaging in junk behavior, and how this was described to me in the foster care system when I worked a lot with foster care. It was for those kids who were teenagers who get placed with foster families and they've been in and out the system their whole lives. They will exhibit junk behavior and actually self-sabotage a good placement. So it's things like eye rolling, just not giving proper respect, not making eye contact, walking away, being dismissive, being short. So she was doing a lot of that stuff. If it got too far, I did intervene and say, hey, honey, that's not okay to do that. We respect everybody. So I did make sure to say things like that. I also made sure to kind of validate her experience, but her nervous system was still kicked up because even though her and I had repaired, and I did repair with everybody in the household, things still were not resolved. And this is the place where I see a lot of families will kind of stop because they just kind of want to keep the peace. They don't want to rock the boat. Everything has calmed down. So it's like, let's not go back and address the original thing, because if we address the original thing, it's going to kick up more stuff. And to some degree, they're right. But here's the thing. Your kid is also anxious. Your nervous system's anxious, their nervous system's anxious. And if we can't navigate that difficult conversation, then their nervous system is stuck in that place. 100% stuck. And nobody kind of knows what's going to happen next. And everybody's kind of in that false sense of safety where we're just kind of walking on eggshells, which is not good, and it doesn't feel good for anybody. So finally, as we went for a ride to go where we were going to play pickleball, I told my husband, I was like, look, I know I'm not in a place where I can really play. My youngest was not following directions. My husband directly told her, hey, be careful about where you're walking and standing. There's some ant beds here. She got bitten by sorry, y'all. I'm just going to slow that down. She got bitten by some ants. And so, which made her even more irritated. And so I'm starting to talk to her about something called histamine. And so as I'm talking to her about histamine, she's like, well, do you have another word that you can use for that? Because I'm trying to tell her, don't keep scratching it, because if you keep scratching it, you're going to make that histamine response worse in your body. She's like, I need you to use a different word. And so I was able just to kind of share with her a little bit about what's been going on in my body, just in terms of my nervous system over responding, overreacting because of a small stressor. Then it starts to affect more and more parts of my body. And so I'm sharing with her, here's a little wipe for the bite. It's going to make it feel better. It's not going to make it completely go away, but it is going to make it feel better. But if you scratch it, it is going to get worse. It's going to feel more intense, and it's going to feel more irritable. So as I'm talking to her about this, excuse me, I think I got a hair on my lip. Sorry. As I'm talking to her about this, I'm literally feeling it in real time in my body. My body's like, yeah, we know what the histamine response is. We know that stress triggers it. We're feeling the thing, Virginia. And I'm just trying to apply some first aid to myself, which is just making sure that I slow my own nervous system down enough. I take some breaths that I need so that I can be able to regulate my child enough to go back and to do some correction. And so she starts talking and finally starts to admit that, yeah, well, I'm still irritated with you. And I don't think that's the word she used. I think she said she was annoyed with me. But she actually was annoyed with everybody. And she just wanted to go someplace else, talk to another family member who would actually understand her. And so I just took that time and said, actually, I do want to understand you. And I do want to go back to that conversation yesterday because I feel like that was important. My poor daughter could not really fully sit with the conversation yesterday because she recently got some ant bites from today. So I think that's my dog alerting me of something outside. So, or he's having a puppy dream. I think he's sleeping. So, all right. So she was so distracted that because of the current irritation her body was experiencing, it was a little bit harder to go back to yesterday. But I did. I was like, it makes sense to me that you'd be irritated because you didn't really want to go for this walk. Your body wasn't feeling it. You didn't want to go play pickleball. It makes sense to me. And it also makes sense to me how sometimes the way that you get in the spot that you're in is because you just didn't follow directions. And she's like, what? See, this is what I'm talking about. Da, 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 da. And I was like, well, you can talk and you let me know when it's my turn to talk. So, because that was part of the problem from yesterday was she just kept interrupting me. And as I was trying to hold all of me together and I just couldn't anymore, it all just fell apart. So I just tapped with her. I said, hey, baby, I said, you let me know, if you want to talk, you're more than welcome to talk. However, I also need to be able to talk. it's important for both of us to have respect. I want to respect you, but I also want you to respect me too. And so that's something that I think that anybody can get, that matters to so much of us. A lot of times people feel like kids, they just don't deserve respect. They don't deserve to be listened to. I believe everybody needs to be listened to. I believe everybody deserves respect. And so I just took that time, and we can have different opinions. Different opinions does not mean that we're not respecting each other. So, she was able to continue to share. I validated her experience. And I said, yes. And I said, and also what happens is sometimes you will go and do things, and then you get a natural consequence of that thing. And then you're really upset because of the natural consequence. I need you to be able to look back and to see that first piece that you need to take responsibility for. And so that first part of being responsible for was your dad told you to be careful about standing where you were standing because he was concerned that you were going to get bitten by an ant. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm wondering if you could take some responsibility with that. And she was like, yeah, I can. I said, excuse me, like, we all deserve respect. She's like, fine, okay. And in my family, in my culture, I'm a military brat. So we do the yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, just as a sign of respect. And so she was like, yes ma'am. And I've told her, like, if you don't want to say yes ma'am, I get that. You can say, I respect you and I hear you. But I don't know if you want to say that every time. That's totally up to you. But you need to find out in your own family what works best for y'all in terms of communicating with respect. So kids can have a different opinion. They can feel a different way, but they can communicate it in a way that is respectful for themselves and for the other person that is listening. And so we just had a good conversation about it. She didn't want to talk for long about it. I get that. I also did mention, I said, so the same pattern that happened today, this is also what happened yesterday. I was trying to talk to you. You were not listening to me. You kept cutting me off. And then we both end up just kind of exploding. So I definitely want to take responsibility for my part in this, but I also need you to take responsibility for your part. She's like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I was like, okay. So I don't need her to 100% completely all get it, because part of her nervous system is still out of its window of tolerance. She still had the ant bites. She still is irritated and annoyed because things didn't go the way that she would have wanted them to go. And she can also feel my nervous system. Our kids are connected to us. She can feel that my nervous system's not in a good place. She doesn't want to do something that hurts me, just like I don't want to do something that hurts her. So it was a good conversation. It was definitely short. And then they went and played pickleball. I hit just a little bit, and then I was like, hey, honey, like, I'm just done. I can't do anymore. And so I was like, that's fine. So we went on ahead and left. We left much earlier than we normally would have, but between the heat and still, like, in the space of flaring, I just couldn't do anymore. So I just honored my nervous system. And my husband was like, you know what? She probably will want to be done too. So, because she's still nursing those ant bites. And I was like, that's true. So we just ended it early today. You don't have to keep trying to push things to be a certain way if everybody's nervous systems is irritated or annoyed. When we're moving towards the edge of our window of tolerance, it is really important to take breaks, which is why it was important for my daughter and I to have a short conversation. Growing up, one of my caregivers in particular I can think of, he would go into a lecture, and it just never worked for me. Lectures, as a neurospicy kid, I would just shut down. I would shut down and I would just check out. So I did not necessarily want my daughter checking out. I just wanted her to hear the little piece. And so what ended up happening, we got home, we got to eat. Things were just moving better. We got in our regular routine. But then what ended up happening was there was a couple of moments where I was like, hey, honey, I just had to remind her. I'm like, this is the spot where you're getting some directions, and I need you to follow directions. I don't want you to have some unintended natural consequences. So I did offer some reminders. She was able to stop herself. So the other thing that I made sure to do when we got home is I started to take a look as a parent, because that's my responsibility, is to take a look at some other environmental factors that could possibly be causing more irritation for her. There's some supplements that she takes to be able to regulate her mood. There's supplements I take to regulate my mood, my stress. So I'm like, okay, does everybody have their things? Making sure everybody has water. We're all well hydrated. We spend some time outside. It is hot as all get out. Again, I'm in Northwest Florida. It's summertime. I made sure everybody was hydrated. I was like, okay, food, make sure we had some good food inside of us, temperature in the house, making sure everything is comfortable. Because as we're managing all of those environmental factors, that plays into a lot of distress in the home as well. And so part of that is my job. She's only 12. Part of my job is to make sure that some of those environmental factors that she cannot see or think of or be regulated enough to do, that I take care of those things. So I made sure to take some time for that. Also made sure that I just took a really good shower to take care of myself. The rest of this afternoon, I have no intentions of doing anything serious. I've got some ice cream that we did Instacart order. Thankfully, my husband picked it up the night before. And so we're just gonna kind of just chill the rest of the day. We're just gonna enjoy each other, watch a movie, have some ice cream sundaes, and just enjoy the rest of our afternoon. So how can you apply this stuff into your life? I believe that you can apply some of this stuff into your life by walking through all the steps that we just walked through over the past 3 videos. Today, with picking up some of those important points of taking a look at, just because the kid system was regulated the day before doesn't mean that the problem's over. We have to actually deal with the initial root problem. The initial root problem was she wasn't following directions. So also another initial root problem on my end was I was holding too many things. I just was, because I didn't want to overburden my husband. His job is a lot on him. I appreciate him. I don't want to put any more on him than what I need to. So my nervous system was overwhelmed and overburdened because I was doing too much. And so I wasn't able to really catch my daughter at a place where she became overwhelmed. So those 2 things we needed to go back and to address. And so I made sure to handle that today, but also made sure to take a look at it within her window of tolerance. We have to work within our kids' window of tolerance, which sometimes means ignoring some of the junk behavior that's just going to throw us off track. We need to stay focused to what the original problem is, manage the original problem, and make sure that we're reinforcing that new behavior that we're hoping to see. So thank you so much for this time that you have spent with me. I really appreciate you. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I do ask that you take that time to do that. I appreciate that so much. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I do ask that you take some time to do something really good for you and take some time to do something good for those that are in your life. Until next time.